Hey, welcome back to my channel, my lovely booktube friends. Okay, be sure to leave me a comment letting me know, what do you think? What are you thinking about Thriller Thursdays? This is the third part now. I'm thinking a series on this channel, if it hasn't been about television. In terms of booktube, I have not finished a series. I mean, I haven't done a series past 3 or 4. So we'll see. I should be able to, because, my goodness. I should be able to because I read so many thrillers. Thriller Thursday is a different story. And I think that short stories and scary stories, like, I need to, like, lean into my strengths, okay? And another thing of why this series is going to continue, this, you see what this says? I survived the school year. That's what it says. Remember in the end game when he did the snap and it was like a big thing of like who survived and who didn't survive. So like that's when we did this shirt. It was like Avengers theme, you know. And so it was like we survived. Who survived? We survived the school year. Not all people did. Especially in 2020. That's not a joke. That's literally not a joke in 2020. Kind of fucked up. Okay, anyway. Today we're going to be talking about Karin Slaughter. I did not read this book, by the way. I bought this book at Barnes & Noble, you can see, for $7.88. Because I'm like, oh, I've heard of Karin Slaughter. I heard that her books were good. Her books are good. Hold on. I have complicated opinions about Miss Slaughter. So last week I was supposed to do this video and I just was like so flustered. I could not get through it. And we're just going to talk about in this video, I've read a couple of Karin Slaughter books, okay? And the first one I've read, I read a couple of, the overall theme of this video is torn. I'm of two minds, kind of. I don't know, like, how to feel about Karin Slaughter. I like some of her characters and stuff. I like some of her books. But, like, some of her stuff is just too much, too over the top for me. And then, like, if the characters aren't right, then the plot is so over the top, but also cliched that I can't get into it. So, let me start with my first number one example. The first Karin Slaughter book that I read is Triptych by Karin Slaughter. Now, Triptych, she has 2 series. One of them is, I forget what the other series is called, but she has a Will Trent series that follows the character of Will Trent. This is the second of the series with him. I have not read the first one, but this book, out of all the books I've read by her so far, this is basically my favorite so far, okay? Because I really enjoyed the characterization of Will Trent. I really enjoyed the characterization of John, who is okay, so let's run down the plot overview. So Triptych is about girls are getting killed in Atlanta. Will Trent is the person investigating. His like character quirk is that he is dyslexic and he grew up without parents in foster care and stuff like that. So that's kind of like his background. And then the main plot is about John, who is accused of murder. And he goes to jail at 17 and he gets out, and it follows that kind of journey of like how he ended up being accused, how he ended up being convicted, how he's been doing not so hot since he's gotten out of jail. But then it's also following, I guess this is why it's called Triptych, because it's like basically 3 points of view, and the other point of view is John's cousin. What is his cousin's name? I read this a while ago. I found his name. His name is Michael Ormwood. He's a detective. Okay, so it's complicated because Michael is the local detective investigating the crimes, but Will Trent is like the special agent that they bring in because it's like a serial killer. Listen, the thing about this novel is I think it's really good. I think that there's one thing about the plot that doesn't make sense, which is I don't want to give it away if you've not read it and you want to. Excuse me. Is that John never accuses the person that really did the crimes. Am I giving that away too? That he's innocent? He's wrongly accused. Okay, it is what it is. That's a little spoiler. But he never accuses the person, and it doesn't make sense. Like at the time when he's getting arrested, like wouldn't that be your first line of defense? Like when you are looking to like build up your defense, and I know this is like the 80s and 90s or whatever, before all these crime shows are so popular with all ages. Maybe that was just older people watching crime shows back in the day. But like nowadays, like we all grew up watching SVU, and like, you know, defense attorneys will always say the first thing you want to do is find someone else, pin it on someone else. Like if you want to muddy the you need to just create reasonable doubt. So you need to say who else had opportunity, who else had motive. Pin it on somebody else. Like point in another direction. He never does that. That's to me a plot hole. It just doesn't make sense. Especially when we get into all the things that he experienced in jail. Now, the violence that happens in this book is so over the top. And I just think that the violence of Karin slaughter is so like over the top. And that's where I am torn about her, because this Triptych is my favorite novel of hers so far, because the way she introduces characters and discusses characters, like there was a little twist in the beginning of the book that I was like really confused about when I first read it. I was like, a character dies, and when she dies, her identity is kind of fully revealed. When we originally only saw her through one perspective, now we're understanding who she is in a different light, and that threw me for a loop. If you know who I'm talking about, I don't want to give it away, but like I'll just say Cynthia. I was not expecting that. The way the original person interacted with her and then finding out who she really is and all that stuff, I was like, ew. You have to just read it to understand that. But I thought that was clever. I think like a lot of her writing is interesting and clever. So I don't understand, like we don't need the graphic violence. She goes into great detail about how John is assaulted in prison. Of course, sexually assaulted in prison. He's young, he's 17 years old. Everyone else is grown, middle-aged men. Okay? He's young, he barely has any hair on his body. You know, they treated him like he was a girl, and is how I'm gonna phrase it, even though it's a problematic way to phrase it. But like then, it's not just that she describes it. It's that like they keep having flashbacks and flashbacks of it. And I'm just like, come on, please. And then if you add on top of that, the way the murder victims are killed. Now, I think murder victims are one thing because you have a certain distance, because it's something that happened to someone in the past and now it's over. But like this book kind of highlights how when someone is assaulted, they relive it over and over. But also, when we're reading the book, we have to relive it with that person over and over. And I'm just like, sometimes I feel like, do we need this? Like all of the things layered on top. Then, add on top of that, the ending scene where Angie, who is another detective who has a relationship, a friends with benefits, complicated relationship with Will Trent, she gets kidnapped by the killer guy. And she goes through so much violence and bodily injury over the course of like one chapter. I'm just like, why? Why do we need to read about this? And then like, it's just too much. And he, even when John has flashbacks to the scene of the crime, and all of the descriptions it's just too much. There's just too much violence. I just don't like it that much. With that said, I just didn't like it that much. Like, I feel like it was cleverly written in the way it was plotted out. I like how the characters are developed in this, but like other than that, yeah, it didn't make sense why he never accused. Okay. I had to start over describing this book. So let's start over with blonde hair and blue eyes. The story. I'm sorry. I tried to make this video last week, and if you watched my video from last week, you know I said that I tried to make this video last week. I don't know why I'm struggling so hard. It's only 3 books. When I talked about Dervla McTurnian, it was like so easy. I didn't come off notes or anything. I just like sat down and talked. But I feel like this Karin Slaughter, for some reason Karin Slaughter is throwing me for a loop. But I just took a picture of my hand, but with my phone. But so the Karin Slaughter book that the other Karin Slaughter book that I read is called Blonde Hair, Blue Eyes, not blue hair and blonde eyes, which I have accidentally said. Where is it? Trying not to yell and curse. Now I've been sitting here so long trying to film this. Now I'm like, I have to pee. And when it started raining, I'm like, I have to pee. This is what it looks like. My main complaint about this was like, this book isn't satisfying because it's not like a complete story. It's not like a standalone story. You know? God, it's gotten so dark outside. Let me move on. It's not like a standalone story. It is connected to another book, but I feel like if you're labeling something as a short story, I'm judging it by the criteria of a short story. And some short stories have like inherent cliffhangers, but other short stories are like contained little beginning, middle, end stories. And I compared it to Dervla McTurnan's. She has 2 short novellas that are small, contained, beginning, middle, end stories, you know? So that's how I'm judging it. And I just didn't like it. I think that a cliffhanger would have been fine and satisfying to me if we had gotten more beginning and more middle, honestly. And I was feeling more invested in the character. I feel like we got little tiny snippets of who she is. And I think it just wasn't enough. Now, this book is not actually a standalone. This book is basically a prequel to the next book that I'm going to talk about, which I gave 2 stars on Goodreads, which I did not like. It's her least favorite it's my least favorite of her writing so far, and it's called Pretty Girls. So Julia Carroll was the character in the story of Blonde Hair, Blue Eyes, who gets kidnapped and then it's left on a cliffhanger. I honestly would have loved to see more, like I wish that would have been a longer like prequel short story, like more closer to a novella than a short story. Like I feel like that was very brief story. I would have loved to see more about Julia and the sisters interacting, and that would have fleshed out the characters in Pretty Girls a little bit more. The main characters of Pretty Girls, I don't even know why it's called Pretty Girls, like honestly. I think that like I guess they were both pretty growing up, and they're dealing with the fact that their beautiful sister got kidnapped. And I'm just like, the thing that bothered me about that, it was like, not only classically beautiful girls get kidnapped, but go off, sis. There was a couple, the dad and the sister. Why would I guess it was a clever plot point that we found out in this book who killed the sister, and it was the same as the main killer of the other girls in this story. I don't know, whatever. Or not the main. Moving on, like it's so convoluted. Is that part of why I'm having a hard time talking about it? But Claire is so confused. Now, Claire is the one who is supposed to be, she grew up to be the rich, fancy sister that people in the comments, not in the comments, but people in Goodreads refer to her as a Buckhead Barbie. They live in Atlanta. But then the other sister is this, like, you know, the prickly, I'm not like other girls character. Like, Literally, she sits there and like, I'm not like these other soccer moms. I have a life, and I don't spend hours at the gym, and I eat potato chips. And I'm just like, okay, girl. So these two are estranged, and they get back together after Claire's husband dies. I don't know how many spoilers. I'm just gonna give full spoilers for this. So Claire's husband dies. He doesn't die. He fakes his death because he's an evil doer. I'm not gonna give away all the spoilers, but like, basically, she finds snuff porn on his computer, like snuff films of someone getting killed mixed with pornography, because they torture and do all this stuff to the girl on video and do sexual stuff to her. You know, it's really bad. And it's so detailed, and this is what I'm saying. So the characters in this novel sucked. Like, I did not like Claire and the sister at all. They squabbled over the stupidest stuff. Like, once shit started going down, they just started arguing over the dumbest stuff. Like, they were, like, she was like, had Claire called the sister over to her house to help her. And she's like, no, I don't want you to see the videos. And the sister's like, just show me the freaking video. She's like, no, it's my burden to bear. And like, they had a whole argument like that. They had that argument again once they get to the house where all of the like evil doings take place, obviously the crime scene. And she's like, no, I don't want you to have to see it. I don't want you to have to see this. And she like keeps having this argument with her. I'm like, shut up. Stop having this stupid argument. It's the stupidest thing. And then they squabble over everything. They squabble over, oh, and then Claire was going to drive out of town to the crime scene house where all of the murders take place. And she was going to go by herself because she's like, no, sister, I shouldn't have brought you into this. You know, it's my burden to bear. And I'm just like, shut up. Shut up. Stop saying that. You're so stupid. Like you guys are siblings, okay? Like, you're deep in some shit right now. You need help. You called her. She voluntarily answered the phone and came to fuck with your dumb ass, even though y'all were semi-estranged. Let it go. Let it go. She's in it now. Stop fighting. Stop doing that same fucking squabble of like, no, this is my burden. I don't want you to get mixed up in this. I don't want this to happen to you. Blah, blah, blah. They were so infuriating. They were so stupid. And they just did so much stupid shit that didn't make sense. Like, the novel could have ended halfway through the novel. The novel could have ended halfway through the novel, not kidding. They literally came into the murder house, the crime scene that's on all the videotapes. They had a stack of a wall of goddamn videotapes. You know, like, all they had to do was because they were afraid that the local police was corrupt, okay? Fine, sure thing, whatever. So, all you had to do was video the crime scene, show the crime scene, okay? And get online, immediately upload it to the internet, send it to media outlets, be like, hey, just found a creepy crime scene. All this fucking evidence, here's the address, come get a tour. You can't hide, they can't hide all the evidence. They can't hide that you two saw all that evidence without killing both of you, and then someone's gonna ask questions about that. And here's the thing, like, I understand that they were afraid and they were confused as what to do. And I know that everyone sits like armchair heroes, like, if I was there, I would have tackled the shooter. And it's like, this isn't that kind of situation. If I was there, and this is what I was saying, I keep waiting for her to like compartmentalize her grief and realize she's in danger. Like, not only is she knee deep and like finding out traumatic stuff, oh my God, a fly, but she's also like in danger. Like, she has now seen the video and people know she's seen the video. So she has to now either get the people who make the videos arrested or live in constant fear and danger. So like, it's like, you can't just sit around hemming and hawing. It didn't make any fucking sense. They took time to squabble. They took time to cry. And I'm like, you don't have time. You're in danger. All you have to do is tell people the evidence is there. This isn't like I'm tackling an armed gunman. information quickly to save my own life, I think that we all could have agreed that that's what you should have done. I'm losing it. So that's how I felt about that novel. Sucked. Okay, and then hold on. I'm currently tried to read. So she has another novel. You thought I was done talking about Miss Slaughter? No, I'm not done. I got one more thing. Okay, so hold on. So there's this book called Pieces of Her. And this novel. I just couldn't do it. This is like the reason I didn't like this novel, but it's being turned into a mini-series. So I will be talking about that on this channel. Stay tuned. I will be talking about it. But I didn't want to read it because I'm like, this is just so annoying. Hopefully, by the time they make it into the big screen, it's better. Not the big screen, but the small screen. It's being a mini-series. Being turned into a mini-series. I did not like this. I did not like this novel. It starts off with the main character's daughter just being the most useless dunderhead of all time. She was just like the stereotype of like the useless millennial. You know, like she was just useless. There literally was an armed gunman, and her mother, who is like this normal, sweet lady to her daughter, like jumps into action and like starts negotiating and protecting her and stabs the guy and da-da-da. And the daughter is just like mumbling around like, oh my God, what just happened? Oh no, why did that happen? I don't get it. You know, I'm just like, ooh, ah! Like that's not real. Like that's not how anyone would be. I just feel like, you know what, if you're raising your kids to be useless dunderheads, don't project that onto all of a generation, okay, honey? Like, like that, don't project that onto an entire group of people. Like, I know that every character is not a representative of a whole generation, but it just smacked of that to me. It just smacked of useless millennial stereotype, like I said. It just seemed so obvious, like that was... It just felt so lazy. I just couldn't do it. I just didn't care. Hopefully when they bring it to the small screen, it's better. I guess so. The basic, I guess, plot of that is that the mom used to be some sort of secret agent girl, and now she's like a mom in a small town, and she's been hiding, but now her past is coming back to get her because blah, blah, blah. So that's because blah, blah, blah. That's all I have to say. I'm tired. That's the end of this video. If you made it this far, leave me a little peace sign emoji. Are you going to be watching the show? Have you read any Karin Slaughter? What do you think? Do you think I'm gonna like The Good Daughter? Now, The Good Daughter has 2 sisters in it. I hope that the sisters are better than Claire and motherfucking whatever the other girl's name. Julie is the dead one, Claire is the annoying one, and then the prickly, I'm not like other girls girl, I don't even remember her freaking name. Bye. Bye. You know what? I should have just done a Ruth Ware video. I still haven't done that one. I read 3 Ruth Ware books, and I didn't like any of those either. We shall see what's gonna happen.